So, in terms of conditional cash transfers program, the Philippines is a best case. So, conditional cash transfers is this program giving minimal cash grants to very poor households on condition that they bring their children to school or they utilize very vital health services. So, the country's program called Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, or in short, Pantawid, is considered as best case by quite a number of impact evaluations and social protection reports and notes. So it is best practice in the sense that it has achieved, if not exceeded, their education or health, its education and health related objectives. It has kept children in school. It has not fostered negative behaviors like gambling or, using the very minimal cash grants on buying alcohol or cigarettes and mobile top-ups. It has been commended by the State of Social Safety Nets 2015 and 2018 for its adaptive quality, which means that with very minimal cash grants attached with conditions, health and education-related conditions, it is able to build the human capital of the poor households, making them better equipped to deal with shocks. So these reports also praise our program for the use of social registry for poverty targeting. Now, our social registry or national targeting system is called listahanan. It is actually a combination of two Filipino words, lista, which means registry or list, and tahanan, which means home. So, listahanan. So, to date, we have 4.38 million household beneficiaries of Pantawid. That's a lot. And because of that, we are considered one of the largest CCT programs in the world. And aside from that, the state of, the same report, State of Social Safety Nets 2015-2018 also considered Pantawid as one of the best targeted CCT programs in the world. So the adoption of and subsequent expansions of CCTs in the Philippines is couched in a technocratic language, meaning for instance, the objective selection of beneficiaries minimize the interference of local politicians in the program. So poor people now don't have to go to the mayor or to the congressperson so that they will become beneficiaries for various government programs. So the Pantawid addressed this problem, this issue, supposedly. So what is hardly discussed, however, is the political dynamics that underpin the adoption and expansion of CCTs in our country, which is historically related to the close relationship between donors and the Philippine government. So, for example, the decision to adopt CCTs in the Philippines was heavily influenced by donors, notably the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. And the influence, is manifested in terms of ideational mechanisms. So, for example, sending our government officials to study missions abroad or, international conferences. It also involves institutional handholding, which means that international experts are brought into the country and serve as in-house consultants of the social ministry, of the social welfare ministry. That's the lead agency of the CCT program in our country. So. Yeah, so the adoption of the CCT is pretty much a top-down decision. It is very much elite-driven, and by elite, I mean the presidents, 3 presidents so far, and also policy elites in the cabinet, and most especially in the social welfare department. And there was no popular mobilization that calls for these types of programs. So the CCT also was adopted in a context of quite fragmented social protection system. And by fragmented, we mean not only the presence of or the implementation of multiple uncoordinated programs, but also stratification across social groups, wherein different groups of people are accessing differentiated types of programs. So there. In 2007, our country, through the Social Welfare Department, ran a pilot targeting 6,000 household beneficiaries. This was the time of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. And the expansion, barely 3 months into the implementation, they expanded the program targeting 320 household beneficiaries. Now, this is a chart showing the number of household beneficiaries from 2008 to 2015. Now, 2008 to 2015 are the years when the beneficiaries of the program were expanded. So I say 2015 because, where is this? Okay, because from 2016 and 2017, the number of beneficiaries in the program have not been expanded. So there's a stasis there from 2015 to 2017. So the level, the one that we're very proud now, that's 4.38 million, is actually the same level as the number of beneficiaries in 2015. Now, the conditional cash transfer program has been continued through 3 administrations, from Arroyo's term, President Aquino's term, and now President Duterte's term. So, as I said, the first major expansion was in 2008. At that time, there was no targeting system yet. The targeting system, or the Listahanan 1, was done in 2009 and 2010. Now, ideally, this listahanan should be updated every 4 years. So the plan was to update it in 2013. However, the Social Welfare Department had difficulty securing budget for Listahanan 2, because there were members in the cabinet and some lawmakers who were actually questioning the credibility of the targeting system. So you see, this is one example wherein these types of program is not actually exempted from political dynamics such as this one. So it took the department, the Social Welfare Department, more than a year to secure this budget, so that Listahanan 2 was actually done in 2015 and 2016. By that time, the first social registry, which was done in 2009, 2010, is already outdated. But then you see, in 2014 and 2015, the number of the beneficiaries has been expanded. Now, let me just note that those expansions were based on Listahanan 1, on the very first registry. So they were expanded despite the increasing obsolescence of the first registry. So now that's just the story during Aquino's term. During the Duterte's term, where there is this stasis, so enter Duterte, enter also the new social welfare secretary, who's very critical of the program. She's very critical. She's coming from the left. Now, she questioned the comparability of Listahanan 1 and Listahanan 2 because Listahanan 2 used a different model of proxy means test. So what she did, she decided to release a moratorium on the expansion of beneficiaries. So that's why there's a stasis there. So in 2016, 2017, there's no expansion of the program anymore. So, and like I said before, we're so proud of our 4.38 million household beneficiaries, which is actually still based on Listahan 1. And does not capture, can you give me 2 minutes, does not capture the changing poverty circumstance of people who are moving in and out of poverty. Okay, now what are the implications of this? Expansions in the program were based on increasingly outdated registry and with minimal attrition. And if there was minimal attrition, it is through categorical attrition, meaning if you don't have a pregnant member, then you can graduate of the program. It's not based on new poverty targeting. So this leads to a sort of quasi-permanence in the beneficiary base. And then the stasis in the beneficiary base at a very partial level within target population, which is the bottom 2 quintiles, leads to real and perceived inequities among the lower income strata or the poor. And why is this so? It is actually reinforced by this policy idea of convergence. And by convergence meaning, your beneficiaries of the CCT program has become also the basis for selection of beneficiaries of other social assistance program, so that in effect, they're not only, receiving cash grants, but some other assistance from other government programs. So you see, there's this inequity there, and then the inequity is not even between the rich and the poor, but among the poor people themselves. Okay, for my concluding comments. Okay. So the CCT program in the Philippines effectively provides income support to quasi-permanent group of beneficiaries, meaning the 3.38 million, which did not originate from any popular mobilization and was very much elite-driven in conception. None of this would be problematic if it were part of an overall momentum towards increasing universalization. It is problematic because of the stasis observed within the high degree of fragmentation in the broader social protection and social provisioning systems and the political consequences of perceptions of inequality. It fails to provide protection to people moving in and out of poverty under volatile conditions. And lastly, Philippines is a best case, emphasizes the problematic nature of conventionally endorsed and promoted best practices of social protection and targeting. Thank you.